Welcome to our third strategy session. It's always amazing to see young people who are passionate about Nigeria and Africa gathered together. So we actually are already 8 minutes into our time. So we're going to start. Go ahead and do a brief review of what we did last week for the sake of those that were not here. So last week we were talking about building a knowledge-based economy, and trust me, it was a truly phenomenal time with Sawina. So there was a lot of things that was shared that was really amazing. So last week we learned that the role of the government is actually to invest in the people. So we learned how that the people is the most important asset to a nation. That was one key thing that we learned. And like we've learned in the past two strategy sessions how that we saw the progress of Singapore, how the Prime Minister of Singapore, despite all odds, decided to invest in the people. And today we can see the progress that Singapore is one of the, I think the fourth largest economy, if I'm not mistaken, in the world. So because the leader decided to invest in the people. So we learned that that the greatest asset of a nation is the people. And one thing we learned about a knowledge-based economy is that a knowledge-based economy is an economy that is driven by the government of the people. It is people-focused, where the government invests in the education of the people. Because something Sawina mentioned last week that was phenomenal is that educated minds will always build better economy. So when the government invests in the people and take their hands off the economy, the people in turn will build the economy. So all the government has to do is to create a politically stable government and invest in the people, and people will take it further to invest in the economy. Another thing that we learned last week is that the government's role is to regulate, and the people is to be in charge of building the economy. And something else that was mentioned last week was the issue of meritocracy. Something Sawina mentioned that I really liked is that meritocracy is going to bring about a healthy competition between the people. And when there is healthy competition between the people, there is growth. He gave an example of the educational progress of Singapore, where that in most of the exams, all of the exams in science and technology that's written over the world, we see that most Singapore children is 13, they come out top of it, while Nigeria and African countries are nowhere to be found on the list. Why? Because the government has invested in education and technology. And something else that we learned last week is that our role is that we need to shift our mindset from the fact that Nigeria is a country that has natural resources, because natural resources is not what is going to actually move the economy of the country, but rather an investment in the minds of the people. So the mindset of the people, what are the people doing to better the economy? How equipped are the people for building their economy? So the people is actually very key. So as young people, we have to shift our mentality. We have to begin to shift our mindset from the fact that Nigeria has oil, from the fact that Nigeria has any other resources, towards building the mindset of the people. So when the mindset of people is being built, then we'll begin to build our economy. So only something I wrote down last week was that only educated minds can move from raw materials to finished products. So Nigeria has a lot of raw materials, yes, but how do we move those raw materials to finished products? It's only when we're educated. It's only when we have the right knowledge, only when we have the right education that we can actually transform those raw materials to finished products. And something that I was musing on when I went back was that imagine the population that Nigeria has and most African countries. So imagine if the investment that was made in Singapore was made in Nigeria, in the population of Nigeria, Africa as a whole. Imagine where we would be right now, because we are people rich. Yes, we are people rich, but we lack the right knowledge, the right understanding to actually move our economy. So those were the things that we discussed last week that Sawina took us through. So our role in this is that we have to begin to understand that the society is not a place, but we're a people. And then we have to begin to change our mindset towards improving ourselves, towards developing ourselves in different areas, so that when we get this leadership position, we do not follow the same path of our present leaders of depending on the natural resources, but shift towards investing in the people. So we have to expand our thoughts. We have to be conscious about learning more and more about Nigeria and about how to better improve our country. So that is a brief summary of what we did last week. So thank you all for listening. At this point, I don't want us to waste too much time because time is already fast spent. We are going to be handing over to our keynote speaker. And I think I see some new persons on the call. So for the sake of the new persons that are joining us today, I'm just going to briefly run through his bio. So give me a second. So our keynote speaker is winner Anigbogu. He's a PhD student of micro and nanoscale system engineering in Louisiana Tech University, USA. He's a graduate of electrical engineering from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, with relevant work experiences as a field support engineer with IHS Tower. He was a graduate intern with the Federal Capital Development Authority, Abuja, and a former intern of Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria. So he's passionate about understanding and engaging people on the meeting point of human capital development, societal development, and history. So Winner has spent years studying how functional systems are formed and why systems fail. So I'm excited, and I'm going to hand it over to our keynote speaker, Sir Winner. Over to you, sir.
All right, thank you so much, French. Thank you for having me again today. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure being here once more today. I think this is the third series we're having on this. So today we are talking about intellectualism, and before I delve deep into the bulk of what I have for today, I would like to drop some definitions to be sure we're on the same page with respect to the topic. Basically, intellectualism by definition is the exercise of the intellect over the emotions. The exercise of the intellect over the emotions. Crudely put, it can as well be defined as letting facts speak. Letting facts speak, not just emotions. And it's something that is rare in our society. The world is where it is today because certain men decided to choose facts and reality over emotions. That's the reason why we are where we are. Without such men, all the developments you see in the world as a whole, you won't find any of it. And any society that has done well did so because a number of humans chose facts over emotions. And some of them were willing to stake their lives for it. And I'll cite a couple of examples. Emotions are actually things that cannot be trusted and should not be trusted. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in Africa, a society that is largely controlled by emotions and not facts. And it's not our fault. One of those things that creates that atmosphere that fits up emotions is religion. I'm not against religion. I'm a Christian. I say it any day, anytime. I'm a Christian. But I've come to realize that being a Christian is not the same thing as being stupid. Unfortunately, we've not succeeded in creating that thin line between blatant ignorance and religion. And that is for the both religions, both Christianity and Islam, currently in Africa. So what should have been for the good of the society is becoming a major problem because of the way people navigated it into. I'll get to that detail much later, but I hope to spend less time today so I can engage us. I hope to engage us in more of an interaction. I want to talk about our experiences so we can communicate. So I would run through what I have today fast enough Then we can get to an interactive session. I will open it up. Tell me your experiences. You see. So, like I said, if you must build a functional society, it must be based on facts. It must be a society that exalts facts above emotions. A society that understands what it means to face facts. I heard someone say recently online, a man I respect a lot, he said something, said that the law has no emotions. It doesn't matter how you feel. Facts are facts. And a society and people who are given to analyzing things based on what they are, not what they feel, will always forge a functional society. And it's something that is lacking in Africa. Recently also, I saw someone write an article on it on Facebook, and it was an amazing article, that it's becoming increasingly difficult to find young people that can engage in an intellectual discussion in Africa and not get to a point where they are hurling insults, and not get to a point where it becomes more like a war of words where people face facts. I defined something some time ago. I said that in my definition, a major aspect of maturity is the ability to state your points without indulgence in name calling. It means that I can say what I believe to be true, even when I have detractors, and even when the discussion gets into a very bad tone, without allowing myself degenerate to a point where I can now engage in an exchange of words. For me, it's a climax of maturity. Getting to a point where the state of your detractor doesn't, you never degenerate as a result of the condition. You are who you are. And you maintain that condition. It's something that is lacking in our society. Having said that, I will also say this. You see, democracy, it's a beautiful system of government. But a major loophole in democracy is this. Democracy becomes a major problem in a society where a large population of the masses are foolish, uneducated, and are driven by emotions. Democracy becomes a major problem in a society where a good population of the masses are foolish, uneducated, and are driven by emotions. It's a major loophole. So the strength of your democracy, how successful democracy can foster the growth of a successful society, is directly dependent on the collective intelligence of the people. What I call collective intelligence. It's directly dependent on the collective intelligence of the people. And that is why in many countries of Africa, they practice democracy in quotes. But that practice of democracy, which is not bad, has become their undoing. Let me explain better. In Nigeria, our pseudo-democracy is a major loophole that our politicians exploit. Not necessarily pseudo-democracy, really. Our democracy that is built on the foundation of a society that is largely motivated by religion and sentiments, is what our politicians are exploiting. So you have a situation where a man, by virtue of facts, obviously has nothing to offer. He has no education. By virtue of the records he has no record of anything good enough to be in governance. But because he's from my tribe, I attach emotions to it. Because he's from that tribe, he can build on the emotions of people and have his way in whatever election. You might not know, but the reason why the US system has this current thing called the Electoral College is actually to combat this problem of masses being foolish in democracy. That's actually one of the reasons why the US has the Electoral College. But many people don't know. The US system of democracy is not such where um, it's not decided by popular votes. Now look at Nigeria. I can decide in Nigeria as a politician that I don't like Abia State, I don't like Lagos State, I don't like Ogun State. People from Kano, people from Imo State, people from River State have more population. If I can have more friends from that area and get all their votes and climb above others in popular votes, I'm good. I don't need them. And I can play on their emotions and get away with it. I don't have a problem with the older generation, but seeing the same traits arising in my generation is a problem where people are unable to reason, one, are unable to engage in intellectual discussions without anger. It's a problem for me. And the worst part of it is the fact that many people that I see display these things are graduates. 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 One of the things coming for postgraduate studies in US has taught me is what is called referencing. Facts. Before you make any comment, check the facts. Is it true? Do I have a reference that I can draw to support what I'm saying? Is there anywhere in history, basically in academics, it's called publications and so many things, which is basically history, what people have done in the past, that I can draw inferences to support what I want to say? I can't just wake up one morning and say anything. But it's a culture that is rare in Nigeria. I went through my undergraduate studies was in Nigeria. I know how people think we can get away with anything. If you leave us, we will even change acceleration due to gravity to 11.2 and get away with it as a nation because no one cares. It's a major problem. And I will say this, and I say this with caution. As much as I believe in faith and religion, a society is never built solely on the foundation of religion. No society is built on religion. Whereas God created the earth, he put in laws in place to govern this earth. If your society must work, it must be governed by laws and facts. And I have history to support me. I have history to support me. Recently, I wrote an article where I said that if men have learned nothing else from history, they should have learned that as good as religion is, the men that bear the religion are imperfect. And we cannot build our society on them. We must face facts, ability to get to the end of an inquiry before conclusions are drawn. Ability to get to the end of an inquiry before conclusions are drawn. Ability to get to the end of an inquiry before conclusions are drawn. It's a very important element of an intellectual discussion. What it means is that you can say something that goes against my belief system. If I understand the need for truth, I shouldn't be positioned to jump in and defend myself first until I learn the facts and judge with good knowledge if that which is said is true or false. I've been on the downside of it. Sincerely, coming from Nigeria, I actually didn't know how much my life was being controlled by emotions until I got it. Until I got to discuss certain things with people, and they literally told me, I thought they were true because everybody in Nigeria, we are canvassing around and we are saying the same thing. The information was actually circulating in Nigeria. So I absorbed them like everyone else and thought they were true. But when I got here, I engaged in real discussions with people. The question would always come up, can you prove it? Where can you bring evidence? Only for me to go back home to research and search and find out that what I thought to be true were actually lies. And I was surprised because I know the number of persons back home that still believe the same things. I see so many of them on Facebook fighting, trying to kill themselves because of those same things. Google is just a few milliseconds, let me use nanoseconds away, if there's something lower than seconds. But do you believe that most Nigerians actually use the internet mostly for social media? It might be hard for you to take in, but what I'm telling you is the truth. Sometime this year, there was a discussion over electromagnetism that went on the internet. People were fighting electromagnetism, cancer, no, not cancer, COVID-19, so many things were going on Facebook. I asked many of them just a single question. And that was after some days of the argument. I asked them a thing. I said, I am neither for the proponents or the opponents. But I just have one question. How many of you guys have actually taken the time to Google on internet electromagnetic spectrum? You know what I found out? None. None. None did. Something that is just Google, a tap of a computer button away. None did it. And they were willing to die arguing over it on Facebook. And that was when it became evident to me that we have a problem. We have a problem. I also cite another example from a friend of mine. I was having a discussion over this with a friend recently, and he was saying something about the incident in Lagos. Tinubu, he said he works a very good company who they are auditors globally. They are well known, and so they were having discussions over the shooting in Lagos and all that. Why he was not denying the shooting, he asked just a single question. So he asked them, said, this man that you guys are accusing, he might have done it, but does he really have the authority constitutionally to command such? He's not in government, he's a private citizen. You have elected citizens, elected politicians who have the authority to command such things. Why are you people shifting the narrative? Even if he did, was he the person you elected? Don't you have somebody to hold on to, the man you put in power? This is a very simple question, a plain fact. He said the experience he had shook him. They almost wanted to beat him up if it were possible for them in the office just for asking a single question. So he wasn't denying their claims, but he was simply trying to induce a process, intellectualism. Why don't we get down to the root of this thing? Where is the problem from? Can we trace this thing down? That was simply what he was asking for. And no one was willing to engage in that. It was all about emotions. And guess what? Emotions die down. So it's a problem, a very big problem. And I want a situation where by the time you are living here today, you have a change of attitude. You develop in you a willingness to get to the nitty-gritties of a matter, to drive it down home before you come out with an opinion. Even as a Christian, a Muslim, I want you to live here with a new perspective to life, a perspective that does not jump on an issue based on what your pastor, your priest, or your imam said. A perspective that desires to even get down to the Bible for yourself. Okay, this is what my pastor said. This is what this person said. This is the argument. Is this really true? Does the Bible actually say this? That willingness to do that is necessary in a society that must grow. Because you need the truth for a society to be out. A video recently on Jelly Rollins of Ghana. He was saying exactly the same thing, that successful societies are built on truth. They are built on truth. They are not built on emotions. Why do I say this? I'm not trying to hurt anybody's emotions. Again, I'm a Christian. I am a Christian. I emphasize on that. So you don't think I'm an atheist and I'm trying to aim a dig at your faith. No. Do you know that there was a time the church believed the earth to be flat? Are you aware of that? Do you also know that they were the people who held this opinion, held firmly to this opinion, were the leaders of the church society, really the leaders of the society back then? The people, I'm struggling to use the word I'm about to use now, the people known as men of God of those days were the persons that held that opinion. Do you know that almost all the naysayers were killed by the church? They were killed by the church because they dared challenge the opinion of men of God that the world is not flat. It's in church history. Many Christians don't know this. Now, today we know better that the world is not flat. There is no place you get on the earth and then you fall off, like falling off a cliff. But are you aware that for years, this opinion was held supreme? The funny truth is this. I wrote an article on it, about this on Facebook. The Bible never said any of these things. These are inferences of men of God. And it caged the society. It caged the society. Many scientists were killed for daring to believe otherwise. It was a few of them who gave their lives to it that led to the development we're enjoying today in the world at large. We know by virtue of history that they were wrong, the men of God. So what makes you think if they were wrong 500 years ago that they cannot be wrong again today? Do you think there is anything new under the sun? So I tell people this, the Bible is supreme in my heart, but anybody's inference is not supreme. I hold anybody's inference with caution. Anything that is not directly obvious in the scriptures, anybody's inference about an issue, a societal issue, I hold it with loose hands. Because I am driven by a principle. I want to know what I know for myself, not because someone induced me into believing those things. For example, the issue of the US election recently, I don't have any issue with what people believe. But I just have one question for you. What you are fighting for? What you are fighting for? Do you really believe it because you find it to be true? Or do you believe it because someone said and another person said? That being said, like I said, I will conclude very soon. Not necessarily conclusion, but I want to open it up because I want today to be more of an interactive session. I will tell you this. There are three things that will help you come to a point where you can look at yourself and say that you are growing into a successful intellectual. One thing PhD program has taught me is that it's not enough to lift a formula like we used to do in undergraduate studies. That Newton's formula said that F is equal to ma. It's not enough to know that F is equal to ma. You need to know why F is equal to ma. So most of the formulas that I learned in undergraduate studies and I could write, I got to a program where I had to learn from first principle how they came about those formulas. Do you know the advantage? You cannot really make an adjustment or push the society forward in any field if you don't understand first principles. Let me give you an example. I'm working on some stuff, some vibration of beams. And basically, PhD program demands that you make a significant, an addition to your field of study, your research. So you don't just, you must make an addition that is worthy of referencing, what others can see as a benchmark and reference it. For you to do that, you must understand everything from first principles. And it taught me something about life. For you to push any society forward, it takes a first principle thinking. You must understand why things are and why things are not before you can make an addition. And it starts with you and me. You must understand why things are and why things are not from first principles before you can make an addition, a meaningful addition to the society. It's very important, very basic. But what you find now are people that are not willing to study, people that are not willing to investigate, people that are not willing to put in a single effort. They just want to wake up from their beds and jump on Facebook and comment on something because somebody said. And are willing to tear your shirt online just for daring to disagree with them. Not even disagreeing with them, daring to ask for further explanation. They want to take their opinions and shove it down your throats. But the same people are complaining about Buhari. Can't you see that it's the same thing that makes the leaders who they are today that is being manifested in our own small world? You want to take your opinions without anybody questioning you and shove it down the throats of everyone else. So it's a problem. There are three things I would like to highlight on that you need before you can grow in intellectualism. Number one is humility. It's weird, but it's the most important thing. How do I mean by humility? I mean an understanding that you know very little about the world. When I mean very little, trust me, you know very little about the world. What you don't know about the world will shock you when you start reading. I have a very good friend of mine, a girl. This year alone, she has read 70 books. And what she told me is striking. She said the more she reads, the more she realizes that there is so much about the world to learn. That is my own personal experience. The more I read, the more I'm wowed. There is so much about the world to learn that I can't stop learning, and I can't help being humble. It was recently, maybe 2 months ago, I was reading a book, Cheating Deaths by Sanjay Gupta, America's Doctor. I learned so much about the medical field, so much about my body. I was amazed about, or I was awestruck with regards to what I don't know about my body. I learned a lot about the medical field and the interaction between the law, legal field, and formulation of laws that concern the medical field in the society, how the societal structure works, the military, academia, and the medical field as a whole. It was mind-blowing. And it also reminded me that there is so much. So when you understand that you have so much to learn about the world and you won't even finish it till you die, it will make you accommodative of other people's ideas. It's that feeling in your head that you know what you know, that you are very sure of what you are saying, that gives you a blocked heart. And it's a feeling that I find quite irritating in so many young persons. I say this is my personal opinion. What I'm saying now is what I'm about saying, sorry, is my personal opinion. There is one thing that I'm sure of and I can die for. It's my faith in Christ. It's personal to me. Anything outside that is subject to questioning. And I will get to the root of everything else. There were so many things, even in the religious practice of the circle I grew up in, that I used to believe in years ago. But when I grew up to search, I read more, understood history. In fact, there are some things that people want to die for, and Christians want to kill themselves for today in Nigeria, that I actually have discovered where in history, at the time in history where those things started, it was not there in the time of Christ, it was not there in the time of the apostles. At a point in history, some men sat down and decided that, oh, we need to start doing this. And people are about to kill themselves, thinking that it was Jesus. That's nothing has surprised me when I said something and someone, a Christian, goes, oh, I thought Christ said that. And I tell the person, no, it's not in the Bible. And they literally get surprised. But that is the state of most persons. If you must help the society, you must be willing to go the extra mile. Now, I believe that we are raising leaders here. Leadership is the willingness to go the extra mile. And one of those major dimensions of life that we need people who are willing to go the extra mile and is the sphere of knowledge. You cannot lead people except you know more than them, truly. Except you are willing to learn. So it starts with us. I've already delved into the second point I wanted to make. An increase in the quest of knowledge and willingness to entertain the opinions of others. Very important. An increase in your quest for knowledge. I met a graduate during my NYSC that told me that since he graduated and moving forward, that he is hardly willing to read even a signpost since he left school. And that is actually the state of so many persons. He's not, his case is not an isolated situation. That's the situation with me. And when I see people who don't crave for knowledge, as an individual, what I actually see is pride, because you think you've known all you need to know. If you understand that there is so much to learn, it will develop in you a quest to search. And let me say this is a life-changing skill. If you allow yourself develop a hunger for knowledge, in every aspect of your life, you will do well. Anything at all you set your hands on and your eyes on, you will do well, because it's a skill, ability to learn, the willingness to learn. And that zest that forces you to get to the end of a matter, it will make you exceptional. And if you find yourself in leadership with that skill, you will do well. Then lastly, a desire to see the truth prevail, not your feelings or ego. A desire to see the truth prevail, not your feelings or ego. There are times when things happen and you are really emotional about it. I find myself in that situation. I find myself, you find yourself being very emotional about the situation. Maybe it's something that concerns your church. Maybe it's something that concerns your tribe. Chill. Let's get to the end of the matter. Let truth prevail. Set aside the emotions. And you know what will surprise you? When you get down to facts and details, you might discover that you are wrong. I saw a video recently on Abia State. It's in the roads in Aba is in a deplorable situation. And while they were swimming through the roads, literally, somebody was taking a video and the person was saying, I wish I can okay, let me translate it in English. The person was saying, Abason will build the roads for us. Abason will build the road for us. Now we'll put Abason in governance. Look and see. So basically, the person was mocking them that a few years ago during the election, the emotion they allowed to be cloud their thinking was because he is from our side, we will vote him in. Because he's not whether he can do a good job, not whether he has a track record of leadership. No, but he's from my side, he can do, let's put him in. For no other reason other than the fact that he's from my side. And it's a major, it's a major problem in Nigeria. People who allow emotions to be cloud their thinking. And we are raising a generation that I wish should be able to think beyond the lines of tribe, Think beyond the lines of even religion. Think beyond the lines of gender and face reality as it is. So next time when you find yourself around a discussion that needs an opinion, before you allow your emotions get in your way, first ask yourself, can I get to the root of this matter without attaching my emotions to it? Is it true? Did it really happen? Where did it happen? How did it happen? Who was there? Is there a record, a track record of this happening with this person? If you develop this attitude to life, it will change you. It will change your neighbor. It will change Nigeria. Before I open it up, I would like to point out two major action points. Number one, check yourself. How receptive are you to the opinions of others? Evaluate yourself critically. You don't need to do that here, but ask yourself, how receptive? You know, there have been times in my life that I wrote some things, and some friends chatted me up, and they were like, look at what I think about what you wrote. I think I see it in this dimension. I think you are missing out on this perspective, and it has helped me a lot. And truth be told, a lot of those times I saw those same pieces I wrote from other perspectives that I never saw when I was writing those articles. And it helped me. You will grow. If you develop this habit, you will grow. I have a baseline. I have accepted for myself certain things that are like baselines to me. They are unshakable because I took my time to evaluate them. I took my time to research and find the truth in them. And for me, that baseline is my faith in Christ. Beyond that, for most of the other things, I am open to other people's opinion. My faith in Christ is the only cemented part of my belief system that I will never allow to alter. When I talk about my faith in Christ, I mean what I call the center of the gospel, the one that brings salvation, not the peripheral issues that are creating the differences between different denominations. Those peripheral issues, I really don't hinge my life on any of those things. If you develop this attitude, you will grow. You will help your neighbors grow. You will help your friends grow. And you will help the nation grow. Another action point is, someone once said, he said that the problem of the world is that the people who are wise are quiet, while stupid people are bold and shouting. And I think this is true. I discovered for myself that most of the very intelligent people I've met, most of the people with unique perspectives on life, people with ideas that can really add salt to the society, many of them, they're quiet. They're just leading their private lives. They're not interested in opening platforms and airing their opinions in the public. And the really empty ones are the ones that have blogs. They're the ones that are shouting on YouTube. They're the ones that are on social media, not all of them, but many of the other ones, the people that know very little, they are bold. Then I asked myself, I shouldn't be surprised that the society is the way it is, where people that know are not willing to come out and talk. And the people that know very little are bold and are the ones shouting on the streets. And that is why it is difficult to control the narratives in our current society. Because the guys that own a lot, not all, a lot of the platforms are people that know little and are willing to do anything for money. So another action point is this. Think about the best way to amplify your voice or the voice of any other person you know that is given to reasoning. It might not be you. Everybody is not a public figure. It might not be you, but you can help amplify that of another person. The more we air the right opinions in the marketplaces of social media, the better our chances of reaching more people and building better societies. I tell you the truth, the more we air the right opinions on the marketplaces of social media, our chances of building a healthy society is increased. I've seen a lot recently on marriage that, in my opinion, are trash. Forgive me. But unfortunately, I ask myself, why is it that those that have a healthy opinions on marriage are unwilling to put it out there? Social media can reach a nation more than you can imagine. The NSAS protest should have taught us that. If we are going to reclaim Nigeria, if we are going to properly mass educate people, like mass educate people, we are just we are few here. If we can reach out to more persons, then the intelligent ones, and I believe that I'm speaking to intelligent people here, should create platforms. They should get out there and start speaking. They should get out there and start speaking. One of the experiences I had sometime this year that it made me withdraw from Facebook for some time is this. I faced situations where people wrote articles that are obviously not true, and I decided to air my opinions. I took my time. When I want to write, many a time I take my time to write. I took them through history, took them through several research works that people have done in the past, detailed analogy, analysis, went back to the Bible, took them piece by piece from one book. On one occasion, I started from Genesis and ended in Revelation. Two of them, two ladies, sadly, they are graduates. One of them even works for an NGO. So being a graduate changes nothing. They looked at everything I wrote. They couldn't fault it. All they did was to pull out their emotional cards and attempt at blackmailing. They decided to attack me, not what I said. It was an experience. That was I think that was the last time I really commented on an article I saw online like that. People, strangers came on board. Anyone that read my article, anyone that read what I wrote, they could not fault it. They were like, hey, young ladies, did you even read what he said? Total strangers. They could not fault 1% of what I said. And yet they were unwilling to reason because of church. They were unwilling to reason because of church. I became scared when I realized that we live in a society where people have been so brainwashed that, I put it this way, you can bring the words of Christ and drop it side by side with what their pastor said. When the words of Christ negate what their pastor said, they would rather pick what their pastor said than what Jesus said. That's how bad it is. And I will tell you, whether people think they're doing it as a solidarity with their pastor, nothing destroys a society like people who refuse to think. And we have a good number of them. I call them educated illiterates. Education is meant to sharpen your reasoning. Education is meant to open you up. But unfortunately, many of them have gone through school, but they are unable to reason. I wrote an article again on it recently. It's on Facebook and I posted it online. So it starts with you listening to me. Develop this mindset to get to the end of a matter before you have an opinion on it. And when you develop this mindset, transmit it to others, your friends, your family members. Be that single voice in your group, in your workplace that will ask people, did you really research on this thing before you developed this opinion? Be that single voice that will do that. Be that single voice that when they're talking about an event, a situation in Lagos, a situation with a church, a situation with a nation, that would ask them, did you really read it up? Did you really check it out? Did you put in 5 minutes to find out if this is true before you pitched your tent on one side of the opinion pool? With this, I think I would like to end. I just want to raise questions in our hearts with respect to yourself and myself. What kind of person are you? Are you a thinking being? Going to school is not enough. I keep telling people, going to school is not enough. Are you a thinking being? It's very vital. It's very vital. I'm not against the church. I'm not against mosque. But a society built on emotions, a society where people refuse to reason, a society where people refuse to research, a society where people refuse to face facts is a society that will never grow, no matter the amount of prayers they say. So when we start raising people who are willing to reason, even when it means that by reasoning, they will not accept what I have to say, I will do the society more good, and the good of the society is bigger than my ego. I would rather have you reason, and sometimes as a result of your proper reasoning disagree with me, than develop a moron in the name of followership. With this, I'd like to open the platform up. If you have anything to say, a question or an experience that you want to talk about, the room is open. But I hope you've internalized the little things I've said today. It's not just for you, but it starts with you. But you need to develop this mindset and transmit it to others in your workplace, in your church. Wherever you find yourself, it's a healthy mindset. And we all need it. Nigeria needs it. Our society needs it. If we must grow, we must develop an attitude of intellectualism. Like I defined at the beginning, intellectualism is the exercise of the intellect at the expense of the emotions. It simply means, to me, letting facts speak, letting facts speak, letting facts speak. That is what intellectualism is, and we need it on our journey to a better Nigeria. We need to have more people with this mindset on our journey to a better Nigeria. Hopefully by next week, I will then give a broad overview on what I think is the way forward for Nigerian youths. What do we do from this point? On a broader scale, where do we go from here? Talking about the society at large. I'll have more time next week because I should be on break by then. So I'll have more time to exhaust what I think should be the way forward for Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing that. Also, I believe that the floor is actually open now for anyone with contribution. So if you have something to say, you could use the hand raise feature and then you can contribute. Okay, so while we're waiting for anyone that wants to contribute, I'm just going to read some comments in the chat. So I see one that says, yes, sir, most people lack first principle thinking. Opinions have to be broken down to their barest fact. Question everything. Then that says that we need intellectual humility. And then we have argumentum hominem. And Chinemere says that the society and school teach people what to think and not how to think. Critical thinking skill is highly invaluable but lacking. So I see that Walter's hand is up, so you can go ahead and speak.
All right then. Thank you so much, my winner, my very good brother, and thank you, French. Man. So first of all, I mean, I'll first take my own learning points then before I, contribute to what the speaker has said. Um, and for me, this is more of a way of a word coming out. I think a lot of us are guilty of. I don't know whether it's the third point or the fourth point the winner raised when he talked about the fact that a lot of us are quiet. So you're seeing, you can see raw ignorance, not even refined, raw ignorance going on. But for some reason, and I don't want to, I won't want to quote unquote play the blame game here. But someone, in a discourse I had, if and I mean a lot of us will agree, this end SARS protest that just happened would be the first time in maybe literally 60 years that people will come out to express their views. Okay? First time people will come out. So someone will say Nigerians are pretty much laid back. And you see, it's just like when you throw something in a pond and then the ripple effect, it starts, going round and round. It has streamed down to even some of us. I'm chief number one detail. So you could, I mean, so when I say get off, it doesn't mean that maybe in my immediate environment I don't combat raw ignorance. Okay. So, but in terms of even what is even put out there. So, for instance, I know there was a time. I mean, when we had all this COVID-19, and then I started hearing things about 5G and 6G, and people just sprang up and started posting things. I called the two or three people I know. I said, "Hey, what is your basis of this?" No, no, no. You don't question a man of God. I said, no, I'm not questioning. What is your own basis? You see, by training or by profession, I studied engineering, but by profession, I've been trained to analyze fraud to the basics. So what it means is that I can't come out and put something in a report that I am not 101% sure of. It's that bad that in a computerized environment that I work in, we still use the market woman calculator. We still use it to calculate just to be sure. If you are unable to answer the five W's and one H, keep short. Right? So I find first of all that there's raw ignorance everywhere. Raw ignorance, and according to from what I've said, and I completely agree. Background religion has not helped. Has not helped. In fact, it has worsened it. It's so bad. If you say anything outside it, you're in trouble. If you seem to counter it with facts, right? With facts. It's not facts that is hidden or shown about. It's there. It's staring you in the face. All you need to do is to come out. I don't know, but was it last week or so? I was watching something about and they were talking about the mind, how the mind works. The mind works. I don't know. It's so sad. I can't remember the way they defined it. But it's just like saying that you can see this thing is a knife. This is a knife. You can actually see this is a knife. But you have been so brainwashed that you actually combat and you actually counter it and say, no, I do not agree that this is a knife. Because of the beliefs that have been sold to you over time. So the brain is lazy to work. And so because the brain is lazy to work, those pathways are no more there again. What it then means is that anything that is sold to you, we were talking about something, and you check. Okay, so just this afternoon, after I love history a lot, and I would want to do my best to devil down the lessons I'm picking from these people, right? I will do my best to devil down and check if this person did something, I would check material upon material upon material. The other time on LinkedIn, somebody said, the first school, they did it because the first school, for instance, they did it because they wanted the how do they call it? They wanted the nuts or something like that. They wanted they wanted the nuts to rule or something like that. Anyway, something very weird. I don't know why I can't even remember what the person actually said. And I said, "Who told you?" The first response I gave to, I don't know. I wish I could even quickly check what my response to him. I said, "Who told you?" I keep hearing this, getting this rhetoric that, for instance, the first school was done to take over the North, that the North, that the Igbos betrayed the North. I said, who told you? Who, if you can really get down to these basics, this rhetoric has been going on for a very long time. Okay, do you know who the leader was? Do you know his background? Do you know that the people that followed him to conduct that thing, especially in the North, were Northerners that were too loyal to the point that their Northern Oga in Lagos was telling them to sedate this particular person, and they refused. And Igbo and a Southerner that was leading them, they refused. It was that bad. Somebody said something, and I said somebody said what were they talking about? Okay, I think it was Isaac Adakaboro was saying something about the fact that he just said something on his own that he was killed while during war, something like that. And I went 2-3 books I have read on this. I took them and I wrote it and I wrote the source. This is on LinkedIn. I wrote it, I wrote the source. And I said, look, if you cannot come and say, if you are not sure, why not just keep quiet? Why not just learn? So, for instance, my brother talked about being open to people's opinions. And the truth is, even myself, for instance, I keep telling myself that I've not done enough in terms of even reading. In terms of even reading, why? The first thing is that the first thing to combat this is to stop being streamlined in terms of reading. Stop being streamlined in terms of reading. If it is not a Christian book, I will not read. If it is not what they call it, if it is not maybe anything related to fashion, count me out. If it is not a love novel, count me out. I'm not reading anything again. That is how you will not be able to contribute meaningfully to society. Growing up, I used to have a habit. I mean, my dad, so I don't know what, for whatsoever reason, he would going out, he would, buy news watch magazines and just drop in the house. They were piling up so much like this, and I knew he wasn't reading them. I was in primary school also. And around that period, so a lot of them, you see them 87, 88. That was around the period of this Daily Giwa Mota. And I read that story to the point that I could tell you exactly everything that happened. The place in Ikeja, this thing happened. Why, who and who. I was discussing with my wife one day, and I was telling her, I said, these things, October 19th, I can't forget them. Now you know what? You go to write an English test and you find out that you are doing so well. You're speaking with people and you find out that you are fluent, and people are asking you, why is your English fluent? You don't know. They're asking you about things. You are talking about people, places, and happenings around you, and it's looking like, okay, you are you're overdoing, but it's just by simply opening your mind to reading. Of course, you know what is bad, what is actually bad. Bible talks about good news. Bible is the good news. Sometimes even the bad news we try not to read. It's sometimes to even remind us of where we are and to remind us to always do better, going forward. Okay, so one thing I'll first of all say is, guys, for me, is a challenge. I've thought about this thing. How, it's just like, I won't say it's a magnet, but something that's holding you from, having to do something, because this thing is there. You can see the rot that's going on in society. And then people are emotional, are unnecessarily emotional about a lot of things. The moment you talk, it looks like as if you are either not a Christian, or you are not doing enough, or this or that, or you are being too stubborn. So much of knowledge can make you appear egoistic, but or make it look like as if this person is a proud person. But the beauty of it is that you are able. So there's I don't know there's I think so there was a time I was listening to the gospel according to Philip. Okay, and he was talking about, and I think this portion is in the Bible where it says that let there be a wise man, let there be a man of understanding amongst you, who when the harvest came, he would be quick, to take up to harvest the crop and be quick to give what they call it, sound advice. So for me, it's a challenge. For me, it's a wake up call. First of all, there are three things I've taken out from here. First, be open to other people's opinions. Be able to ask the 5 Ws and 1 H. If you are not able to answer it, there was somebody I was talking to today, and the person was saying, oh, so for instance, I put something about Murtala Mohammed. So sorry, I was so confused. I put something about Murtala Mohammed, a group of other people. I said, oh, no, this person was wicked. He was part of the people, his history, and he was part of people that promoted the Asaba massacre. I said, please, if you have the facts, show me. I know he was the commander, but the person that gave that order, he was not the one. It's there on the internet. It states their names very clearly. Yes, he was the commander. I'm not saying that he doesn't have, but in terms of who gave that direct order, you will not see his name there. And I'm not even talking about what he did, but I'm talking about what he now eventually did for the people in his 9 months reign as military president. So if you are somebody that is ignorant in quotes, you would, oh, okay, okay. I said, no, I'll go and do more reading. So first of all, do more research. Be able to 5 Ws and 1 H. Don't be easily persuaded. Like the Berean Christians, you go back again and then ask yourself, this thing that they have said, how correct is this thing? How can this thing help me? Always start with why. Why? Yeah, somebody says this, he's my man of God, so don't question him. Hey, this thing we are pushing it is what is keeping us where we are.
Hey,
To be honest, I'm sorry I'm going too raw. Please. But I will say it as it is.
but it's the truth, actually.
I will say it as it is. It's keeping us in this poverty of knowledge. It's keeping us stuck. You can't grow. You don't know anything. When they ask you questions, you are bare, you are blunt, you are as ignorant as the word ignorant. Because if the man of God doesn't tell you, you don't know. That was what the British knew. That was the knowledge the British understood. And they zoned out. I'm sorry, I'm not being sentimental or tribalistic here, but they zoned out a lot of seats to the north, gave them a wider coverage. Because they found that to be just only one person, you could control this large number of people. Meanwhile, down east, they were very stubborn, and that's why you cannot see, or when you have the mayor of Kano or you have the Oba of Ife, you can't see that in the east. You can't see, because those ones, they will tell you, okay, we've heard you, but let's go back home and just go and do our own this thing. We'll come back and meet you. I'm not trying to be any of those such, but these are a simple analogy I'm using. 5 Ws and 1 H. Read wide. Football, everything has a link. The other day I was trying to read about how, when I was in secondary school, when they say cos 45, you punch it cos 45 and you have the answer. In secondary school, I would actually use my protractor and my, what they call it, this inside your math set, to draw the set squares, to draw the line and measure it. I used to take that, it was that bad in secondary school. I'll take that time inside the test hall. And guess what? I want to see how they actually arrived at that. It used to give me happiness. Go back to the roots, go back to the origin. Yes, time has made us to, do things faster. But guess what? There was once upon a time, people used their memories to know things, not books. Once upon a time, before this Gutenberg, or I'm trying to remember the name now, they're printing on books, it was memory. People could literally, memorize a lot of things and then pour it out. Yeah, now this social media has made all of us this. I don't want to take too much of our time, but thank you so much once again for this. Thank you.
Okay. So when you can respond.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Walter. Yeah, even recently, I think I said last time. ILTS, they reported that a lot of Nigerians performed so poorly in their ILTS exam because of not knowing the difference between am and I am. She was ridiculous when I heard it. But um, the more I go through social media posts, the more I see the reality of what they said. And the sad part is that many of them are graduates. And I told someone, I said, let me say this. Do you know, after I left university, or towards the end of my stay in Futo, I took some time out to start practicing writing properly. I took some time out to start studying and practicing how to write properly. And it aided me so well in so many areas. And I've gone to so many, I remember I've walked into so many interviews and so many places where I was not expecting an essay. And then they just come around and told us, all right. I remember KPMG. After the first stage of the exam, over 85% of the people that came were filtered away. There were a few of us remaining, and they just brought us into one room and gave us sheets of paper and said we should write essays without no information, no prior information, nothing. And I found myself my ILTS basically, by God's grace, I didn't read for ILTS. I just woke up the day I had to write ILTS and walked into the exam. GRE, essay part, I never read for it. And I'm not saying everybody should do that. But what I'm saying is, I used to think it's normal. But when I go through social media posts, and the sad part is this, most of the people that I see that at fault in this regard are people that are trying so hard to pass on the information from their men of God on Facebook. They're trying to force us to absorb things from their men of God. But when I read some of these things, I feel ashamed for them. Like on their behalf, like, and they are graduates. They are graduates. So it tells you that there is a huge problem in our education system. When people who have not gotten the basics of reading and writing, how then do you expect them to venture into thinking? And it's because our society is the way it is that a lot of persons, politicians, ministers, they do a lot. They literally exploit the situation of the masses. They know they can sell any opinion to us and we will accept it. Anything they like. I don't want to cite examples, things that are blatant lies. I was listening to a message one day. Someone I appreciate so much. I appreciate him so much. And he says something about Jesus, that he was trying to excite the crowd, basically to motivate them. That some people say that Jesus is poor, that he was not poor, that he came, that the Bible recorded that his father his father was a carpenter. Never meant that. That doesn't mean that Joseph was a poor carpenter. That he could have as well been someone with a big carpentry business that gets huge contracts from the government and does carpentry big time. The funny truth is the crowds, they were cheering. In this crowd, you have doctors, you have lawyers, you have engineers, you have different things. They were basically cheering him on. An obvious lie. I called my cousin, I said, I appreciate everything your pastor said, but this is not true. And it's because I have an independent mind. That's the reason I can fish that out. Why is it not true? Very obvious. In the instructions God gave in the Old Testament, he was so clear. With respect to child dedication, he broke it down into family levels, the financial status of your family. If your family is at this level financially, they are to bring this particular animal. Then the poorest of the people who can't afford any of the things listed can dedicate their kids with dove, with birds, the poorest of the people. And if you know that in the Old Testament, they were very strict. The priests, they were strict. And then asked her a simple question. I said, what was Jesus dedicated with? What did they use to dedicate Jesus in the temple? If you can answer that, it's just flip your Bible. If you can answer that and correlate it with Deuteronomy, you have your answer. It tells you that your pastor basically lied. I accept everything else he said, but you see this one, it's not true. I fished that out and kept it one side. We need independent minds. As a nation and as a continent, we need to stop following people. Anything they say, you accept. Whatever they give you, you absorb. That's character. And it has to start with you. You have to drop it. It has to start with you. The ability to think through everything for yourself is very important. God does not want to numb you. I don't believe so. The Bible does not suggest that. God in no way intends to numb you. So any religious practice that attempts at making you numb, unable to think for yourself, is not from God. Someone asked a question on how to build an independent mind. First of all, you need to accept that humans are not perfect. And when I say humans, I mean everybody, including your pastor. If you don't accept this fact, you will find it difficult questioning everything. But once you start with accepting that humans are not perfect, it creates that room in your heart to dig deeper. The Apostle Paul preached in so many places in the Bible. Many of them never questioned the things he said. They accepted the gospel, embraced it happily, wholeheartedly. Paul was happy, but he went to a particular place, Bereans, and when he preached to them, they went back, checked out what he preached, they investigated to be sure that what Paul told them was true. And you know what Paul did? He praised them specially, that these people actually did the right thing. It's true that the other guys accepted me without questioning, but what these guys are doing is actually the right thing. Reason, this is like a safeguard against heresy. You need this attitude to safeguard yourself against infiltration of falsehood. A house, a city that has no guard, a kind of fence can be accessed. Anybody can basically access any city that has no guard. If you have no fence in a place like Nigeria, anybody can enter your house at any time. So the fence, something you need to surround your life against falsehood, against infiltrations, is a thinking mind. Question everything. I have built a foundation for my life. Like I told you, there is only one thing in my life that's like a basic foundation that I don't question. Everything else from any human is subject to question, even if it's from my pastor. I only agree with you to any extent it radiates with the fact that I can verify. If I'm not sure of it, I hold it with caution. I can accept what you said, but I'll hold it with caution. You won't see me fighting over it on Facebook when I really can't verify or attest to the truth in what you said. Someone said ignorance has economic value. My brother, it does. It has a very huge economic value, very huge one. If you know how to exploit the ignorance of the masses, if your conscience is dead, you will make money. I'm promising you that. If you know how to exploit the ignorance of the people and you happen to have a dead conscience, you will make a lot of money. You can be a billionaire from it. The fashion industry, many of these other industries, they actually make the money, their money through ignorance of the masses. A shirt that is worth $10 can be sold for $25 once they add the name of Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi on it. Then ask yourself, what does bearing the name of Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi add to your life? Why do you have to pay that extra $15? Does it change your life that you have the name of Messi inscribed on it? But that's actually the basis of emotions, emotional attachment. People that try to gain their identity from others, which unfortunately a lot of the masses fall into that trap. It's on that foundation that the fashion industry thrives. So it tells you something about the society at large. What I call church industry, I'm a Christian again, I will say that. But the church, when I say church industry, I mean outside what Jesus established, people that have turned church into business, they also thrive on the ignorance of the people. And it's one of the major problems we have in Africa.
I think Ken has his hand raised up. I think he has something to say too. Ken, can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to really appreciate Mr. Winner. I've been following your discussion since the last 2 weeks when you started. Very, very enlightening and insightful. So particularly from tonight's meeting, I really want to appreciate the points you raised. One point in particular was the fact that it baffles you why a lot of people who really have good and insightful information to share are quiet. What I want to say on that is, given the circumstances surrounding the society in Nigeria, I won't personally judge this because personally, I tend to see myself as someone like that. There are certain situations where it's obvious people are saying trash, but the reason why one might not want to air out our opinions most times is because of the fact, like you mentioned, there's this ignorant factor, and it's sort of like a brainwashing. It's as if you are the scripture says something about throwing pearls to pigs. Sorry to say in such a harsh manner, but I feel sometimes it's like that. On the other instance, I think it also has to do with our upbringing. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar that in African homes it's common when a child is told to do something and then the child asks why or wants to know more, and your reply is just do as I tell you, don't ask questions, just do it. Yeah, so you grow up with this notion that you see a lot of things happening that maybe from your personal judgment, it doesn't seem quite right. You have your reservations about it. You want to say something, but then you're like, let me just keep it to myself. After all, if I air out my opinion, who is going to listen to? What difference does it make? So it tends to make us more reserved with our opinions and our judgments. Understand that is one area I have I pointed out. Then the other area I pointed out was with regards to ignorance. I think it was Mr. Walter. He mentioned something about reading, and this is also another factor that is very, very, very profound. A lot of youths today do not really, in my personal experience and engagement with people, very, very few. I can say like less than 20% of my counterparts, youth like me, 20% is a large number. Less than 10% of my mates that I know that are people who actually like to read and get knowledge just for the sake of learning and knowing more. Very, very, very few. Most of them are even proud to say they don't like reading. Some of them say, I beg, I don't have time for that. I don't. Yeah, very few. And this is something that is really affecting our society because the truth, they joke around and say the white man says, you want to hide something from Africa and put it in the book. It sounds like a joke, but it's very, very true. The book you recommended for us the last time, As the Future Catches You, I started reading it. Very insightful. In fact, I was speaking with my cousin in the house, and we're talking about the contents of the book, and it's as if this book is a literal sledgehammer knocking Nigeria and the Nigerian society. It's very, very. And I was thinking to myself, why are people not seeing this information? People in Nigeria, the youth in Nigeria, citizens, are they not seeing these things? These are clear. Nobody can come and say, we don't know what is happening in the country. We don't know why things are like this. Why is everything this? Why are people not seeing this? And the people of the country, Nigerians themselves, are they not seeing this information? Can't Nigerians gain this necessary, enlightening information and change the narratives for themselves? If every youth is even too much, if 60% of the youth decide that, okay, let us come together based on this information, let us try and change the narratives for ourselves. What is stopping us from achieving our goals? Recently, there's this NSAS, but sad to say, the whole NSAS campaign, it had good intentions, but then I do not believe that it was carried out in the right way.
Yeah.
I believe it had good intentions, but I do not believe it was carried out right, because among a lot of people that were, going for the motion NSAS, yes, there's a good motive behind it, but then how many people really knew how to achieve what they wanted, what we wanted? And that is where what John mentioned in the comment also comes to play, where he said ignorance has economic value. It's true. Why do we think the government of nation has kept playing us for fools for all these years? It's the same ignorance that we're talking about. In our last meeting, you mentioned something that the country has wood. We are producing wood, yet something as simple as toothpick we are importing from other countries. How can one start to fathom a nation?
It's mind blowing, actually.
Very, very sad. It's very sad. So, I'm really, really interested in your next discourse. You mentioned that you're going to discuss on steps you feel we can take to change narrative, solutions to these whole issues and everything. I'm very, very much interested. I'm really, in fact, I feel this whole discussions we've been having with you these past few weeks is more like a very, very profound call to action that we need. It's something we need, because a lot of us know these issues, but it's sort of, we are used to them being all around, like as they go now, what do they say, anywhere belay fix now front, no, just all of us just did. But it's not so. I feel something needs to be done, and the first thing is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Once everyone starts realizing that they have the power to change the narrative, and it becomes a collective action within the society, we can definitely do something. I feel that is what needs to be done. A lot of people out there need to start realizing the situation they are in, how dire it is, and that we need to do something. We can't really sit back. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Kenneth. I was thinking about a lot recently when the NSAS issue started. Unfortunately, I'm not popular. I'm not a celebrity. I'm just in my room. I was like, oh, how I wish I know Whiskey or one of these people, and we can just decide to organize a nationwide Zoom meeting and talk about some of these things we are discussing. We can just decide to organize. This is one of the best ways we can educate the masses. Unfortunately, many of this, like at times it almost makes me cry. I'm not too into the public. Many of the people that have the voices in Nigeria don't know much. I watched the video of one, I don't want to call names, one popular musician that went to speak with the IGP, was talking nonsense, meeting with IGP. I felt like lifting him from his seat and just telling him to leave that place. But unfortunately, these are the people that have the loud voices, the loudest voices in Nigeria. They don't know what to do with the voice. I was like, how I wish we can channel this NSAS stuff into a nationwide Zoom meeting. Let young Nigerians be in attendance. And it's not just being in attendance, people who actually understand the problem of Nigeria and have solutions to the problem of Nigeria. Let them speak, let them educate our people. Some of these things I'm telling you, think it's common knowledge. Go out there, you find out that many people don't know them. I was like, how I wish we can channel this momentum. But unfortunately, I don't know any popular person in Nigeria. I've never, in fact, I think it was in 2017 or so that I got to know, what's his name, Davido. Normally myself, I don't know. I'm more into reading. I don't listen to music a lot. I didn't know I didn't know anybody like that. I just, if you show me the pictures of so many celebrities in Nigeria, I might not recognize them. But I read a lot of books. That's my domain. So so that's a problem. That's a major problem. So, it's a problem, and I wish we can sort it out little by little. I like Kenneth's ideologies and suggestions, and I'm glad that people are being enlightened from the meetings we've held so far. I'm really happy about it. One person after another, one person after another. I wish we can do more. I think on the 26th, I will be talking with a group of a firm in Nigeria, their leadership. It's a growing firm in Nigeria on sustaining, building sustainable businesses in Africa on the 26th. I wish, and you are an ambassador. When you get out there in your workplace, in your church, in your communities, when you meet with your friends, engage them. Talk about these things. Talk about these things. Engage them. You can educate other people. You can reach places that I might not be able to reach. So talk about these things. If you have platforms, talk about them. That's one very good thing you can do for Nigeria. When I'm talking about Nigeria, I mean the Nigeria of our dreams.
Thank you so much, sir. But before we round up with this, there's a comment in the chat that I really want you to respond to. So Joy says that I agree with this line of thought, questioning everything, intellectualism and all. But sir, I think we shouldn't totally scrap out emotions. Personally, I think we should also look at and harnessing it and channeling it rightly.
I think she's right. Emotions are good if channeled well. For example, the little output we got from the NSAS protests came as a result of emotions channeled into action. But like she said, channel them well. Don't make conclusions. Don't make inferences out of emotions. What if we channel our emotions more into the truth? So before you draw conclusions, find out the truth. Develop a habit of reading. If take that out of our discussion here, develop a habit of reading. It will help you. Read a lot of articles in a day, as much as you can.
Right. Wow. Wow. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing time just sharing all of these discussions. Thank you so much, Sawina, for sharing. Please, if you can use the clap hand feature, you can do that, or you can mute yourself and just give a round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing these things that we really, really, really needed to hear. So from everything. Yeah, I see the clap hands. Thank you for clapping your hands. Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you so much, sir. And from everything that everybody has said, from what Sabina has shared, there are 3 key action points that I think that we all should go home with today. The first is that go for knowledge. Go for knowledge. Decide to find out the truth. Decide to learn the facts about everything. Decide to, when a conversation is ongoing that you're not sure, before you contribute to it, find out the facts. Go into the very nitty-gritty of that thing before you actually make an opinion. And the second thing Sabina said is that check yourself. How receptive are you about other people's opinion? How do you respond? Do you just have this emotional response to everything? No, check how you respond. And the third thing is to think about ways to amplify those voices, this truth that you've come to know. It might not be yours, but you know someone that says something reasonable. Find a way to amplify those things. These meetings too, you can find a way to amplify them. You can post them on your social media pages. Like you said, you've learned a lot from this meeting, so you could always post it. So find ways to amplify the truth and the facts that you know. So once again, I want to say thank you to Sarina and everybody that called in today. Thank you so much. I'm sure that you had a great time. And by this, we are at the end of the meeting, and we'll see you on next week.